A new policy here at Texas Tech that has created headlines and caused controversy around campus is finally a lot more clear following a series of memos sent out last week. Coming up, we'll have the latest details on the TTU Systems Review of course content.
Dynasty may not be a word often associated with Texas Tech, but a couple of teams from the University Spirit program are trying to change that. Find out which groups brought home more hardware after a trip to Daytona Beach.
And rain finally returned to the South Plains, but that wasn't enough to keep one Red Raider team out of action. For better or worse, MCTV's Todd Eldridge has a look back at Texas Tech's baseball's latest Big 12 series, along with the latest headlines in sports.
This is the MCTV Weekday Update.
Welcome to the Monday edition of the MCTV's Weekday Update. I'm Audrey Felux.
And I'm Michael Barlow. Back in December, the Texas Tech University system officially announced a new review process for all content taught in Texas Tech courses. The announcement made headlines across the country and led to dozens of questions from the Texas Tech community.
More than 3 months later, the TTU system is finally releasing detailed information of the effects of the content review and specific guidelines for the system's universities going forward into the next school year. On Friday, a media advisory was sent out from the Texas Tech University system regarding the comprehensive review of course content for the spring semester. The review focused on 3 topics: sexual orientation, gender identity, and advocacy or promotion of race or sex-based prejudice. Before the start of the semester, all instructors were required to fill out a form regarding courses taught at Texas Tech institutions. More than 14,000 courses were submitted, resulting in 1,403 that were initially identified with potentially related content requiring review. But before the review even began, 299 were modified by the departments and instructors to avoid curriculum issues. Of the remaining courses that did go through the review, 688 were determined to be over reports, did not include content concerns, or were modified for compliance. 324 courses received an exemption since they are required for certification, licensing, or life-saving patient care, leaving only 92 courses that actually went through the review process. By Friday, less than 60 courses were determined to need modification by the Board of Regents. Along with the media advisory, several other memos were sent by Texas Tech leadership on Friday, including a detailed guidance memo from TTU Chancellor Brandon Creighton. The 6-page document lays out specific details and guidelines for sexual orientation and gender identity course content going forward. The memo is meant to help instructors craft future courses and avoid review issues, and clarifies many questions that came up during the initial review this spring. The memo also specifically addresses a system-wide program phase-out for academic programs whose credentials are specifically focused on sexual orientation and gender identity content. Any programs that are identified on being centered on those concepts will undergo a formal program review, eventually leading to the closure of the program after all current students have completed the requirements for their degree.
In other news, the Texas Tech Spirit program is celebrating once again after 2 of the program's top teams secured national championships last week. Members of Texas Tech Spirit program headed to Daytona, Florida last week for the annual National Cheerleaders Association and National Dance Alliance championships. Tech Cheer brought 2 teams to the competition, small and large co-ed cheer. Both teams competed in the preliminary round on Thursday and advanced to Friday's finals. And then on Friday evening, the winners were announced, and both the small and large co-ed teams were named national champions. The achievement marked back-to-back-to-back champions for Tech's small co-ed team and the second national championship in a row for the large co-ed team. Both teams competed on the band shell on Daytona Beach and celebrated with a traditional dip in the ocean and group picture on the beach following the announcements. Counting this year's award, the TTU Spirit program has won 13 national championships and 1 world championship since 2017. And speaking of World Championships, the TTU Pom Squad will be representing the United States in the International Cheer Union World Championships later this month. The team will attempt to secure the second World Championship in 4 years at the competition in Orlando, Florida, starting on Friday, April 24th.
Back here on campus, there are only 3 full weeks of classes left this semester. With time running short, one department is hosting end-of-the-year performances almost every day until finals. The School of Music continued its busy schedule last night with a concert featuring the Historical Performance Ensemble. The ensemble featured students using period-based instruments and practices to recreate classic works that would have been originally performed. The concert also took advantage of the Kent Hance Chapel to create an environment closer to performance spaces that would have been common at the time the music was composed. The Historical Performance Ensemble was one of 3 groups showcasing their skills on campus. Last night, Tech's Symphonic Wind Ensemble and the University Choir held a combined concert on Sunday afternoon in the Hemley Recital Hall. The School of Music's end-of-the-semester calendar continues this week with 4 additional concerts, along with a collaboration with the School of Theater and Dance to bring the musical Sweeney Todd to the Megan Theater stage. For a full look of this week's calendar, along with all events scheduled from now until the end of classes, visit music.ttu.edu and click on the events calendar under the News and Events tab.
If you weren't able to make it to the School of Music's performances, there was another entertainment option here on campus that gave students a chance to enjoy a Hollywood favorite with a musical theme on the big screen. Last Thursday, the College of Media and Communication converted Classroom 281 into a makeshift movie theater for a showing of Pitch Perfect. ComC's movie night included everything from popcorn, candy, and drinks to a stadium theater experience. 8 p.m. was showtime and dozens of students stopped by to enjoy a night of free fun and entertainment. Movie night also offered an escape from schoolwork for the students in the college, with finals around the corner and many students currently working on end-of-the-semester projects. The event was also the start of a busy couple of weeks for media and communication. This week, the college will host a panel discussion with the members of the National Alumni Board, followed by the annual Scholarship Luncheon on Friday. And Saturday, the college's Speech and Debate Club is hosting a sports debate challenge to mark the Communication Studies Department's 100th anniversary. For more information on the College of Media and Communication, including a list of majors available through the college, visit comc.ttu.edu.
The beginning of April has included some interesting weather so far. Temperatures have already been a bit cooler than March's history-making heat. And we also saw some much-needed changes in weather conditions over the weekend.
So what can we expect as we head into the middle of the month? Weather specialist Aiden Wasson has a look at the week ahead in today's MCTV forecast. Aiden?
Thank you guys, and we finally got some much needed rain over this past weekend. Today the temperatures are gradually warming up. There's not as many clouds in the sky, but that rain over the weekend was amazing. I tell you, the rainfall totals across the South Plains, some places reached up to about 1 inch, and then Lubbock was sitting at around 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 inch. Some places in Lubbock did report seeing 1 inch, but overall sitting at that 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 inch. And those storms will be returning come tomorrow as well, especially around the Aspermont area. The storm will start to hit at around Tuesday at 4 p.m. and then it will carry over into Tuesday night. But then by Wednesday, it should be entirely out of the area. And the main thing we are looking at with these storms coming in is the look for severe weather. Right now, Lubbock is looking at some possible thunderstorms, and then the southern South Plains is at a slight risk for severe weather, meaning large hail, high winds, and even possible tornadoes. And another thing we are looking at too coming in tonight is some high winds in the South Plains. Right now they're at around 30 miles per hour, and they will continue into tomorrow. And tomorrow's going to get a little bit more dry, so these high winds at 30 miles an hour can kick up that dust, lead to some dust storms, and then also leads to an increased risk for wildfires. But this wind should be out of our system come Wednesday, and it'll lead to much nicer weather. Tonight, the forecast lows across the South Plains are pretty consistent with what we have been seeing, around those mid-50s to low 60s. And then tomorrow, the temperatures will be a little bit lower than today, but they will still be pretty high, with Turkey, for example, at 90 degrees, and then the rest of the South Plains sitting at those low 80s to high 80s as well. And then tonight in Lubbock, there will be 61 degrees, partly cloudy, and it will be a little bit windy, and those winds will come in tomorrow as well, and it will increase with 22-mile-per-hour winds tomorrow, 87 degrees and cloudy. So if you have any outdoor plans, make sure to don't get blown away from here, okay? The 3-day forecast, Wednesday and Thursday will be at around 84 degrees to 89 degrees on Thursday, and then Friday is looking very similar as well at 89 degrees, but a cool front will kick in overnight on Friday, dropping the overnight temperature to 44 degrees, and then Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, that cool front will also stay in effect, because Saturday will be at 68 degrees, Sunday at 72, and Monday at 73 degrees, and that cool front will also affect the overnight temperatures as well, with Saturday night at 40 degrees, Sunday at 49 degrees as well. And guys, just make sure to keep an eye out for those storms and those high winds, okay? Especially if you have any outdoor plans, make sure to stay safe out there. Keep updated with the forecast so you can stay safe out there. I'm Aiden Wasson with weather. Back to you.
Thanks, Aiden. The weekend rain caused some changes in the weekend events schedule, including for Texas Tech baseball's most recent series.
But the weather didn't dampen the spirits of one Texas Tech team who is still riding high after one of the best seasons in the history of Texas Tech athletics. MCTV's Todd Eldridge has those stories and more in sports. Todd?
Thank you, Audrey and Michael. The spring semester is nearing an end for Tech students, but the action for Tech athletics continues, and as mentioned earlier, while Tech cheer collected national hardware in Daytona Beach, Tech football was recognized here in town on Friday. 18 Red Raiders and head coach Joey McGuire received their letter jackets in a special ceremony. Rodney Allison recorded a video surprise announcing Joey McGuire's letter jacket presentation to a standing ovation from the team. And then the excitement peaked when the team was surprised with their Big 12 championship rings. Spring training and activities for Tech football are well underway, as Tech will try to repeat as Big 12 champions this season. You can get a preview of Tech football at this year's Friday Night Lights version of the spring Red-Black game on April 17th at Jones AT&T Stadium. And if that isn't enough Tech football action for you, on April 25th, new Tech quarterback Brendan Sorsby will be hosting a youth football camp. You can register your child at procamps.com/Sorsby26. Tech softball took on the Lady Utes for a 3-game series in Salt Lake City. In Game 1 on Friday, Tech showed off their batting strengths, defeating Utah 10-2. Pitching star Nigeri Kennedy went 5 2/3 innings, tallying 7 strikeouts with 4 hits and allowing the Utes 2 runs. Samantha Lincoln got closing duties, allowing no runs on no hits and no walks with 2 strikeouts. Tech bats would cool down on Saturday, however, dropping the second game in the series 4-0. Caitlin Terry would go 6 innings, allowing 4 hits and 4 runs, while on offense, Tech could not cross home plate on 5 total hits. But the bats would bounce back in the rubber match Sunday, taking the 7-1 victory, with Kennedy only allowing 1 run on 3 hits with 11 strikeouts in 6 innings. Terry would close out the last inning with no runs, no hits, and 1 strikeout. Tech has 3 weekday games starting Monday at 3 p.m. in Logan, Utah against Utah State, Tuesday at 6 p.m. in San Antonio against UTSA, and Wednesday at 6 p.m. in San Marcos against Texas State. MCTV will have those results for you on Thursday. From one diamond to the other, where the hits just kept on coming. Tech baseball hosted a 3-game series against number 17 West Virginia over the weekend. The series opener would be a back-and-forth affair as the Mountaineers jumped up early with a 3-1 lead after 3 innings. But Tech would add 4 runs in the 5th to take a 5-3 lead. After a scoreless 6th, the Mountaineers would add 3 runs in the 7th, now leading Tech 6-5. Tech tied it in the 8th 6-6, but Hirun Han would get worked in the 9th for 5 runs on 5 hits, and West Virginia used the late surge to capture a 12-8 victory. Tech would answer back in a pitching duel on Saturday, where Jackson Burns was red hot from the mound, pitching a scoreless game into the 8th inning. Mountaineer pitcher Max Yell answered the challenge, keeping the game scoreless until Tech finally broke through in the 7th and adding 3 more runs in the 8th as Tech stole the Saturday match 4-1. But on Sunday, the Mountaineers would jump up 3 runs early, making Tech play catch-up for the series finale. Tech would be unable to score until the 6th inning, where Tech relief pitching allowed 7 total runs in the 8th and 9th innings as the Mountaineers took the rubber match and the series, winning 10-2. The Red Raiders are back in action this week with 2 midweek games. They'll travel to Abilene to face ACU on Tuesday and then return home for a match with Incarnate Word Wednesday at 6:30. Tech Golf began its final regular season play in West Virginia on Sunday. Round 1 of the Mountaineer Invitational saw the men's team finish with a total of 3 under par, good enough for 3rd place going into round 2 on Monday. While on the individual side, Simon Hovdahl finished tied for 3rd at 2 under par, and 3 other Red Raiders are tied for 7th at 1 under par. This series is the last opportunity for Tech Golf to improve its standing before Big 12 tournament play begins on the 27th of April in Hutchinson, Kansas. From the course to the courts as both men's and women's teams took on Baylor this weekend. Tech men's tennis did not fare well in being swept in team play against the Bears 4-0. The Bears would capture 3 victories in single play and 2 in team play, with the team's only match victory coming from Niska Arsic and Thiago Guglieri. Tech's postseason future relies on the results of the remaining conference matches prior to the Big 12 tournament on April 16th. The women's tennis team would repay the Bears as they took the victory in their meet 4-1. The ladies put on an onslaught, winning 3 of 4 completed matches, with 2 matches going unfinished due to scoring. They also took 2 of 3 matches in doubles play, the 3rd also unfinished due to scoring. The women's tennis team has secured their spot in the Big 12 tournament in Orlando starting on April 15th. That catches you up on everything Tech athletics for now, and don't forget to check back in with MCTV Sports on Thursday to keep up with all the action. I'm Todd, your resident non-trad sports nut, and it's back to you, Michael and Audrey.
Thanks, Todd. As we mentioned earlier, there were plenty of musical entertainment options available here on campus last week, but there were also a lot of ways to check out local musicians beyond the Texas Tech campus as well.
Lubbock's Depot District features live music almost every night of the week, but this past Saturday, a special event gave multiple performers a chance to showcase their skills on the local stage. Sunsets and Cigarettes was the latest in a series of events hosted by Blue House Productions. Blue House Productions is a local company that organizes music events and festivals to help promote up-and-coming musicians here in Lubbock. Friday night's event took place at the Garden in the Depot District and featured musicians Celia Harper, Landon Fisher, and the bands Tristan Graves and the Executives, and Leon Carrasco and Twice as Nice. The event not only gave the performers a chance to showcase their music to a local audience, but it also allowed attendees a chance to come together and share their love of music.
I hope Texas Tech students gain community and just a feeling of pride that we have for Lubbock and the Lubbock music scene that is here, because it is so prominent and it is so inclusive, which is very unique to not only the state of Texas, but across the world.
Sunsets and Cigarettes was one of the biggest events Blue House Productions has produced here in Lubbock. Last fall, the group hosted the Good Times Fest at the Garden, featuring 3 days of live local music. For more information on the Blue House Productions and a look at previous events, you can find them on Instagram at blue_house_prod.
So Audrey, did you check out any of last week's musical events?
I did not, but I am an avid concert goer, so I think I'll have to check those out in the future.
Sounds good. That's all we have for today's edition of the MCTV Weekday Update.
Thanks so much for joining us, and be sure to check out ttuhub.net every day for more news. We'll see you on Thursday.